talk a little bit about detoxification and what that means for our pets. So we've got them on a good food, we're doing a variety of other things, but as healthy as we can be, we are going to absorb various things into our body, and if over time they accumulate, we're going to start seeing systemic problems. So we want to aggressively look at how can we maintenance-wise detoxify our body and clean out our organs so that we don't get these problems to accommodate. And then the other thing we do look at in our pets, particularly in the southern half of the United States, is chronic parasite control. We are always going to have parasites, but can we keep them to a lower nature? And do we need to use the conventional dewormers? And some of them are quite safe. For the ones that are very concerned, are there some herbal combinations that can work better? One of the first things that I always want to do, and I actually encourage people to do it at least yearly, potentially more frequently if we've got pets that I specifically identify have liver problems. So I use a product called HBA. It's shortened to HBA because it's actually alpha amino beta hydroxybutyric acid. Most people can't say that, let alone remember it, so it's shortened to HBA. What it actually is when you age meat, the part of the meat that degrades down to the natural nutrient our liver would use to transport the fat out of the cell and into the gallbladder is what this is. This was basically determined. They figured out how to age the meat and precipitate out just that ingredient to provide it as a supplement. I find that everybody in America probably needs this because we have so little true aged meat in our diet for our liver to naturally acquire that nutrient to defat the liver. When the liver gets congested, it starts having issues that it can't digest the food as well, it can't get toxins out as well, and if our body can't excrete the waste products out the intestine, it's going to excrete it out the skin because that's the only other fat excreting organ that we have. And so we do want to routinely defat our liver so that we can keep it maximally accomplished. This is actually a human supplement. You can find it labeled for the pets as well, made by a chiropractor out in Texas, and I hugely support his products because they work very, very well. And you can just open up this capsule and just mix it right into your pet's food. It's very, very easily done, very palatable. I find it amusing that if you happen to drop it on the floor and it's a big dog, they wolf it right down. If it's a small terrier dog, they roll on it first and then they mark it right down because they really have that little hunt buried in them, so it's quite cute to watch. But this is something that you take up to a certain dose depending on the weight of the dog. You'll do it for a period of maybe a month. If they've got some significant problems, if they've come to me for allergies, for seizures, things of that nature, I may do it for 2 or 3 months worth, and then we discontinue it. It's not meant to be a maintenance product. It's meant to be a let's spot tune and just defat our liver and get it back to maximum capacity. Depending on your pet's health issues, you may want to do it more than once a year. If you've got the average pet, I tend to say, yeah, let's do this once a year for as needed. If we've got that allergic dog or that seizuring dog or any pet that's got to be on higher levels of medications that have to be mobilized through the liver, then we want to go ahead and use this potentially twice a year or maybe even 3 times a year. Again, just a month tune-up here and there so that we can efficiently keep that liver functioning as good as we can based on all the other parameters that that pet's life has put on it. I then secondarily look at using something. This is a homeopathic, and it's a combination of homeopathic, so people are used to homeopathy. This is actually a type of homeopathy called homotoxicology, where it's looking at what's all the toxic effects going on in the body and how can we treat them at the same time instead of the systematic approach of homeopathy. And I think they each have their merits. This is something that I also have the individuals use at least once a year to clean out the space in between the cells of the body where things accumulate so our cell-to-cell communication can happen more effectively. It is not actively making your body or your pet's body excrete anything. The little diagram that I will show people is if you picture your body as a bundt pan jello mold with fruit chunks. So you've got your jello mold, you've got your fruit chunks, you've got the hole in the middle. The fruit chunk is actually the cell, so we'll call it a liver cell. The hole in the middle is the blood vessel and the lymphatics that that cell has to communicate with. The jello makes it a liver. The cell can't go shopping. And so the chemistry of that jello has to be perfect so that when that cell excretes a waste product, it chemically gets brought over to the blood vessel and the lymphatics to go away. And if anything beneficial comes through that blood vessel and lymphatics and gets excreted out, it chemically has to get brought over to that cell to deliver it. And as disease happens, as toxins accumulate, as injury happens, which decreases blood flow and drops the oxygen and nutrient delivery to the area, whatever happens, that chemistry set of that Jell-O can go askew and not let those pathways happen as effectively as they should, and therefore it compromises the functionality of that cell, that organ, and that individual. What these homeopathics are doing is moving through the cells, the organs, and basically balancing out the chemistry of that Jell-O so that those normal pathways can be reestablished at the maximum capacity. So again, it's not making your body detoxify, so your pet's not going to have flaming diarrhea or anything of that nature when you use it, although I do have my clients use it differently than what they say on the box. You can find these on the internet, but I strongly advise do not do what it says on the box of just take all 3 bottles 3 times a day and you'll have a good time. Most individuals will have a little bit of nausea to significant nausea because we have so much inflammation backed up in our body. So you can get on our website and read some literature that talks about how to slowly increase that. But it's a wonderful product. And then I do have people once a year, potentially twice a year, to basically balance that out and do a month of that detoxification as well. And finally, with the parasites, again, if we're out in Arizona, if we're up in areas where we're in the frozen tundra, probably getting exposed to parasites and having those on board is not that much of a deal. But if we're in the southeast United States or other very wet areas, California, things of that nature, we do have to worry about that. We're in a subtropical or tropical environment, and that is happy for the bugs and not so good for our pets. And so whether we use some of the conventional products that we use as veterinarians to routinely deworm, or whether we find some herbal products that are meant to deworm, herbally, it's generally going to take longer. This tends to put it on 7 days, be off, and put it back on. Black walnut and other things are typically advised to be a 6-week protocol. So a lot of times I look at, unless I have a really compromised pet, I may simply use a conventional dewormer and then detox the side effects of the medication out because I can get there more quickly. And then most of your heartworm products that your pets are on do have a very low dose of some type of intestinal parasite control so that we're keeping that under control as well. Good morning. We've talked about a lot of different things in our various series. So we've gone through food, we've gone through digestive health, skin problems, ear care, lots of different things. Today we're just going to touch on for a couple of other things that your pet may need to just balance out a few other things. Teeth and mouth health and how many dentals our pets are getting are going alarmingly up, and so we do want to address that. I personally don't feel that brushing the teeth is of much benefit. We have square boxy teeth that we can get to most of the surfaces. Our cats and dogs actually have multifaceted sharp cutting teeth, and so it's nearly impossible for us to do a very good job with thorough brushing. What the brushing or even just a little baking soda on your finger does do is break up that film coat on the teeth so that you can get the beneficial things from the saliva truly in contact with the raw tooth, because what the bacteria and tartars do is they do make that film coat. And so doing nothing more than getting a little bit of baking soda on your finger and rubbing it back and forth on your pet's teeth to just break that film coat up, I do say has a very good benefit. Beyond that, we have to look at that the bacteria that forms tartar lives in the mouth because your pet's own various immune and enzymatic things that are in the saliva are not as strong as they should be. And that's what's allowing the bacteria to survive in the mouth, to give us that bad odor, and to eventually build the tartar that we see as the problem. Long-tooth tartar I don't see as a health risk to the pet. But I do always want my owners to realize that if the tartar gets all the way up that tooth to the level of the gum and starts working its way under that pocket of the gum, just like our dentist checks with ours, that's when we can actually get the periodontal disease just like we have, and that can have the risk of increasing that bacterial content to the systemic bloodstream of the pet, and our worry is, does it hit heart valves, does it hit kidneys and the very small capillaries? So that's what your vet's looking at when he's looking at cleaning those teeth and keeping it optimal. But until it gets to the point that it's damaging that gum line, I don't know that it's having the risk of the anesthesia and the various things is of a benefit. But there are a variety of products that are out. This is one that's called Leva Labs. It's from Canada, and there's another couple around that are looking at How do we, if we've done fixing the metabolism, getting the grain-based foods, getting enzymes, doing everything else we can, but we still have just not the best health in our pet's mouth, what are some things that we can do to build directly into that mouth? This is a product that you spray in the mouth. You put 1 spritz in the little dog, 2 spritzes in the big dog. You start off at twice a day, and the most important part of these treatments, and there's other products out there on the market, is that an hour before and an hour after, the pet cannot have any food and water. If you've got the little dog that this is too much of a difficulty to get, if you've got the cat, just squirt it right into the little plastic cap, draw it up with a dropper. All you're needing to do is get this into the saliva. You're not needing to thoroughly coat the mouth, you're simply wanting it to get into the saliva. It is going to dissipate and spread through the entire saliva of your pet and change that environment to be pro-pet and antimicrobial. And so you'll get these couple of hour windows throughout the day that's bringing that down. And that's what this is meant to do. They typically will say from anywhere to 2 to 6 weeks, you're going to treat your pet twice a day until you get most, if not everything, off of your pet. Now this is going to remove the tartar. It's not going to remove the stain. Don't worry about the stain. You know, we can take it and get high polishing and all of that stuff if we're looking at having a dog to do tooth commercials. Other than that, we're not looking at that. We're looking to get the illness-creating bacteria and that my dog can't get near me because his breath is so bad component fixed. And that's what these are meant for. Over a period of 2 to 6 weeks, you're going to notice everything is better. And at that point, you're going to drop that pet to just once a day. Over a period of another 2 to 6 weeks, if everything is going well, I actually have my clients continue to taper that dosage off because I end up having some clients that can very effectively 9-10 months out, they notice a little bit of tartar starting, they use this for a month, it all goes away and they're done till the next year. Other clients, I do tend to find that if they go all the way off of it, they immediately notice the breath coming back. Again, the breath is that the pH and the various things have changed in the saliva. Those organisms are now surviving and they are going to recreate the tartar. And so if we very quickly get that bad breath back, then I'm going to say, yeah, let's be proactive, and whether it's once a week or twice a week that we need to do that treatment to keep it gone, then that's what that particular pet's going to most benefit from.